Yo, what is going on, guys? I just wanted to make a quick video. I'm going to cover some tips and tricks on Evoker, going to cover my macros, talent build, stuff like that. Not going to do a full guide. I want to wait to the end of the season when I've got my proper stat priority and stuff like that, but it's definitely going to help a bit, and I'll share some different builds that I run, like a 2v2 build that can help you and stuff like that. So let's get into it. So these are my talents here. Things are a bit different here in terms of what I run in comparison to most Evokers. The main difference being I don't run 2 points in Timeless Magic, I don't run Stasis, I actually put 2 points into Flow State instead, and I take Dream Flight since the buffs. So I'm going to cover this build in full. I'm going to put a link to this in the description so you can check that out, you can copy it, you can import it, you can try things. But the first thing I'm just going to talk about is why I don't run Stasis. So the reason you run Stasis is basically because you use your standard Dream Breath combo in Stasis, which is Verdant Embrace into Echo, into Dream Breath. Now basically, this means that for free casted Dream Breath, you can have 100% uptime. That's the main advantage of Stasis, right? But what I do is I run Flow State, 2 points into Flow State. That's going to reduce all your cooldowns by 10%. So you can see here, Dream Breath's just worn off, and I've got 12 seconds left. Without Flow State, you have, I think it's 14 seconds. So you get about 2 seconds there, which isn't great, but what this does is over the course of the game, you're going to constantly have more Dream Breaths, but it also gives you access to Dream Flight. And the reason why I like Dream Flight is because it basically gives you an extra 2-minute cooldown to press. 2-minute cooldown to press. So like, I would line up Dream Flight on 2 people, do that, and then you can Echo Verdant, the off target. This is going to life bind all 3 of you, and then you're all going to share 40% of the healing of Dream Flight plus the Dream Flight healing. So that's I mean, the exact mass isn't actually 80%, but just imagine it like 80% extra Dream Flight healing. So that's a huge hot for your 3v3. I do run it in 2v2 as well, but it's not as strong there, but it gives you extra kite options, and CC immunity is always great. So then the other thing that seems counterintuitive is running Source of Magic. I actually copied a few top evokers that did this last season. So this doesn't do anything for you, but it just gives you a better talent path. And then I shift my 2 points here into different areas. So you can run 4% damage, you can run 4% magic damage reduction, which is useful sometimes if you're going to get trained by like a Demon Hunter, Unholy DK, stuff like that in 2v2, or, you know, maybe you're just against an Athlock or Shadow Priest, you know, you're going to get dotted up when you jump in and heal people. But what I find really useful at the moment is running 10% faster Essence. Everything else here is quite standard, you know, stun on Deep Breath, Oppressing Roar is all really useful. And then you're also just looking at switching Energy Loop for just in time in different games. If you're playing a Dampener game, you definitely want Energy Loop. It's also going to give you the Disintegrate damage. Really useful just to keep you going over the long course of a game. However, just in time is really useful to get time dilation or shorter cooldown, and actually just give you the ability to keep certain classes alive in cases of burst. You know, if you're against a sub-rogue, you're probably going to win on mana, but just in time will allow you to live more goes and stuff like this. So that's what I switch around a lot, but typically I like Disintegrate, you know, Energy Loop more, just because I like the extra damage. I like being able to regain mana. It gives you an extra option. If you didn't know, Disintegrate actually doesn't cost any mana, it only costs Essence, whereas Echo costs mana. So just another little tip there. If you have an Essence Burst, it's better to spend on Echo than it is on Disintegrate, because you'll get, when you use an Essence Burst, it doesn't cost any mana. So you can get mana efficiency through using Echo through Essence Burst. It's a little tip, not always usable, but it's definitely something to think about when you get an Essence Burst proc. So then the only other thing that's really different here, I encourage you to just download this build, take a read through the talents yourself. It's too much to cover, but basically when I play 2v2, I'll drop the 2 points here, and I'll run Tailwind for 70% move speed, so you get a sprint basically when you use Hover. And I run Time Spiral. And then what I do, this is for 2v2 only, I barely ever run this in any other bracket, is I'll actually drop Nullifying Shroud. It's actually kind of overrated in 2s. The pressure's not that high, there's less CC. Most of the time what will happen is if you're against a healer like a Disc Priest, they'll just run at you and spam Purge it off, or a Mage, they'll just spell steal it. So, you know, if I'm against something like DH, Unholy DK, Warrior, and you know, Assassination Rogue as well, things that have perma slows and want to train you, take this setup. You're going to be fast, you're going to be very, very fast, and you're going to have freedom. You know, you can't be slowed whilst you're hovering. So you can keep hover up time for a very long time, reactivate it, and then if you get in trouble, I just realized I didn't apply my changes. But if you get in trouble, you can then use time spiral to reset that. And that's really strong. So my overall summary of why I actually really like my build that I run is literally simply because I like the big damage that you get from here. It also gives you a lot of casted healing, which I find is quite needed now. You know, if you Verdant, you get H and Flame here. That's going to increase the cast on a Living Flame. You can actually then combo this into a stacked Emerald Blossom with Ouroboros and drop an Emerald Blossom into another fast Living Flame. I got a bit of lag for some reason, but you see the point there. So you get that, you get the big Living Flames, you get the big Fire Breaths, but you also get big HPS by having 2 points Dream Breath, point in Dream Flight, and then Flow State is just going to give you faster cooldowns. You know, you're going to get 10% off your Emerald Communion, 10% off Spirit Bloom, 10% off Dream Breath, 10% off Rewind, Dream Project, you know, everything. It's really high value over a long game. And then this is, I swear this is the final bit on my build now, but recently I've been running this trinket, the Battlemaster trinket. I always used to run Haste Trinket because I always, you know, you value Haste a lot as a prevoker, and I thought, you know, that Haste is really valuable. But recently I've switched to this, mainly for the primary stat. The primary stat is actually a really good HPS increase. Really helps your HPS in arena and stuff like this. But the other thing you can do is, as well as having an extra defensive, you might feel like you're occasionally getting bursted down. You know, that health bonus is not bad. You know, I tag PvP right now. And unfortunately I used it before I was tagged in PvP, so it's not buffed. But it's like 200k in PvP. It's really big. The other thing is Fire Breath. It does more damage the more HP you have. So I now have a macro where I will tip Battlemaster Trinket and Fire Breath. And this is going to be basically my burst macro. If I ever want to close a game or want to get big pressure, often in Shuffle you can get pressure rolling in the opener quite easily. There's going to be games where you want to hold it for a tip Spirit Bloom, for a cleave heal and stuff, but you can quite easily get a massive Fire Breath off with that macro. So I said I wasn't going to cover stat priority, but just quickly, just to give you an idea, I'll just show you what I'm running at the moment. This isn't with full gear. I've got 20% haste, 48% mastery, 36% verse. So where this is wrong is I want to shift my versatility into haste. I like playing between 22 and 25% haste. Mastery around about 50% plus. So my stat priority is slightly off right now, but when I get some more conquest, I'm going to craft some gear and get things in the better place, because this is just too much verse in my opinion. And then I don't have enough haste and mastery for my actual outputs. In terms of gems right now, I'm running haste mastery there, and I'm enchanting with haste, but I haven't got gems there. I'm running precog on my belt, just because it's what I had on before. And I'm also running Silk Lining somewhere. I think it's on my boots. There you go. Silk Lining, that just gives me a mastery buff when I'm above 90% HP. So it synergizes with the Evoker mastery anyway, which is whilst you're above health percentage of your healing target, you heal more. So then that is going to bring me onto my macros. Nothing special, just mostly just fast cast macros, which is at cursor macros. A few arena 1, 2, 3, stuff like that. Firstly, I'm going to bring up my macro here, which is my Deep Breath and Dream Flight on one key. What this also does is pings on the way. So if I hold Shift Q, I ping on the way and I Dream Flight. If I just press Q, Deep Breath and on the way ping. The on the way ping is really useful for my shuffle games, because I tell you what, landing a Dream Flight on your team is just near impossible in shuffle sometimes, so having a ping to show that is really useful. Here's the macro here. Go ahead and pause the video if you want to copy it. But it's show tooltip for Deep Breath. I then have this top bar which just shows some extra cooldowns. Cast, no mod, at cursor, Deep Breath, cast, modifier, shift, at cursor, Dream Flight, ping on my way. So that just means that it pings on my way when I press the button. Then I'll just run through some other macros that I actually use quite often. So we've got, that's my big damn macro. That's the Fire Breath one I was talking about. That just shows cooldown for Tip the Scales, because I want it to match to that cooldown. It's going to be my Battlemaster Trinket with Tip the Scales and Fire Breath all in one. Then we've got Rescue Trinket, Macro, Rescue Macro. This is just, so all these at cursor macros are just instant cast on my cursor. So that way I don't have to press rescue, click on the location, and then it rescues. If I just bring that up quickly as an example, you know, the default rescue, you would click, and then you have a little indicator, and you do it. My macro, that just allows me to put my cursor where I want to go, and I press rescue. I can't rescue anyone because you can only rescue teammates. Then we've got some others here, so let's just have a look quickly. This one, really useful. You might want to copy this. I copied this from Seedo. This basically allows you to not repress Obsidian Scales whilst Obsidian Scales is active. It stops you from overlapping your wall and messing up that way. This one is just a trinket rewind macro. When I want to trinket rewind because we've just taken big burst, we're all going to die. I spam my control equals, and that's going to trinket and press rewind at the same time. This is just a silly macro that I click. It's all the way down here. If I'm communing and I want my solo shuffle teammates to stay in my line, it yells, stay in my line. Okay, that's pretty much it. You know, landslide, fast cast again. Then I've got a 1, 2, 3 macro for my sleep. It's on my mouse key. If I have no modifier, it sleeps arena 1. Shift modifier, arena 2. Control modifier, arena 3. And then for PvE purposes, if I hold alt, it will sleep my target. It's that simple. Kick macro, I use target and a focus. If you can get into the habit of it, using 1, 2, 3 is better, but I like to set a focus and see what they're doing, and then just be able to kick my focus. That's typically how I play, or I tab onto the target and kick in emergency situations. But that's it in terms of my macros, so I hope that's useful. So then this pretty much brings me to my last thing, which is just some tips and tricks, essential combos that you need to learn. There's nothing too complicated, it's just with other healers, you often have a button that's like, do more healing, you have no cooldown on this, you know, instant cast this. Evoker doesn't have that. You are just complete throughput pretty much all the time, and the way to actually increase your healing is to heal multiple targets with Verdant Embrace to apply Life Bind. The way you do this is you echo one target, and you Verdant another. Now you've got Life Bind on one target, Life Bind on a second target, and on yourself. What this means is all your AoE heals start to get spread with Life Bind. Oh my god, that Shadow Priest is loud. What I was saying is, Life Bind is your bread and butter, and you want to spread that on targets, and then that's going to increase your HPS, okay? So some essential combos you need to know is, firstly, Echo Reversion. This is going to put 2 reversions on a target. They're each then going to give you 10% increased HPS, right? So you need to keep 2 reversions on a target if they're getting blasted. If you just need to casually heal someone, don't worry about the echo, just get a reversion on them, make sure they're ticking over with reversion. It's not a big drama. The other thing with this is you have golden hour. If someone's getting bursted, you can spend a few globals going echo, reversion, echo, reversion. This is going to reverse some of that burst damage and just buy you that little bit more time you need to get the next set of heals off. It's not sustainable, it will only rewind a bit of burst damage to help you. Keep that in mind. Okay, so the next thing is, as I went over earlier, you have the bread and butter combo of, you know, you're going to Verdant Embrace the target. That's going to then give you Call of Ysera. It's going to buff your next Dream Breath by 40%, right? So then you're going to Echo, and you're going to Dream Breath. It's going to put 2 Dream Breaths on the target. One's going to be buffed by 40%. The other one's going to be standard, but that's going to be echoed. You're going to get a lot of HPS off that. You need to keep Echo Dream Breath up as much as you can against like high DPS classes, stuff like that. This is your main source of healing. It's always going to be a top healing if you're pressing Dream Breath off cooldown. It's really what keeps people alive as an Evoker. So then you want to start to look to do more advanced things now. Let's just go ahead and get some Essence Burst procs. So there we go, got some Essence Burst just to speed things up. With a tier set, I just got a free Echo off of my Living Flames. So what we're going to look to do is going to have Echo on one target. We're going to Verdant another target. That's going to put Life Bind on everyone. Then we're going to double Echo into a Dream Breath. And that's just going to spread your healing. The first bit isn't necessary. You can just go straight into the Verdant, into the Dream Breath, and then Echo, and then get a Life Bind spread after. But typically what you want to do is once you have HOTS on people, you want to Life Bind and spread that healing. A little trick that not many people know about, I think this is actually a bug, I rarely actually use this, is whilst you're in Dream Projection, you can actually press other buttons. Right now I can actually Dream Flight over here, whilst my Dream Projection's going off. I think it's a bug. One day it will get removed, but it's an interesting one. You can protect your dream projection with it. You can start channeling fire breath whilst you're dream projecting, all sorts of random stuff, man. I did it the other day where I was dream projecting and I tipped spirit ballooned to cleave heal my whole team back to full, and then apply the dream projection hot at the same time. Pretty much the same global, you know. It's just really efficient, really fast when you're under pressure, but it is quite mechanical and takes some thinking. It's quite intense. So a damage combo to keep in mind is pretty much all around Ancient Flame and having your Scarlet Adaptation stacked. So Scarlet Adaptation is going to make your Living Flame do more damage. Ancient Flame is going to make it cast quicker. Right, so you can actually get off a lot of damage very quickly if you do this combo. Okay, so we're going to apply some hots on our allies over here. This is going to keep our Scarlet Adaptation ticking. Now we've already got an Ancient Flame, we're going to Living Flame, then we're going to Verdant Embrace, then we're going to Living Flame, then we're going to Emerald Blossom, then we're going to Living Flame. That's 3 fast cast Living Flames in a row. With your hots ticking, you're going to keep getting effectiveness out of Scarlet Adaptation. Not necessarily going to be fully stacked, but you will get bonus damage. You can see then, just with Living Flame, I did 322k damage with that combo. You know, if I... let's prep this quickly for another round. So I've got my Ancient Flame stacked. I've got all my cooldowns here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Living Flame, Instant Fire Breath, Emerald Blossom, Living Flame, Verdant Embrace, Living Flame. We got another Emerald Blossom. Got another Emerald Blossom. Another Emerald Blossom. You can see I'm just absolutely pumping damage right now. And this also shows the macro with the trinket. That did 194k normal hit with my Fire Breath. If I didn't have the trinket, I think it hit earlier for 156. So got an extra 40k damage more or less off of using the unused trinket at the same time. Now, Dreamflight is something that I've been running since it's been buffed, so just to cover that one as probably my last tip here, I don't really see what else I'm going to say except for maybe just explaining the use of time dilation. After you Dreamflight, you're going to have a hot on people, you're going to want to spread that, okay? It's not enough healing on its own, but because it's a cleave heal, you can get a lot of value out of life binding it. And like I said, I'll just explain time dilation quickly. Something important to note about time dilation in comparison to other effects is time dilation is not a damage reduction effect. This is a problem that Evoker has in the current meta, is that to keep people alive, you typically need a damage reduction effect. However, time dilation does delay damage, and what that basically means is you put it on your ally, you apply your hots, and this is just going to allow you to heal through that high damage a lot easier. It's also going to give you offensive windows, okay? So you can use time dilation offensively. You can apply it to someone and then start doing some damage, knowing your teammate's not going to die. Then you can start healing them again, and happy days, you know? It's not all about keeping someone alive. You can use it to make pushes. You can use it for, you know, you might want to do an oppressive roar into a deep breath. That's actually quite time consuming. So using a pre-time dilation on that combo can really help you just buy more time, and you know, that's what Evoker's about. It's about time. It's about how you use every global. It's about switching between offensive and defensive constantly, and how you manage that time. So that's my #1 tip really, is just always be thinking about what your next step is. It's a very fast-paced healer, and you need to know what's going on. You're going to be in the fight. You need to be watching what's going to stop you, watching that CC. You've got your kick. It's a 40-second cooldown. Very long, but this is your emergency button. You know, that Boomy's going to clone you after you've Verdant Embraced. Watch that clone, because if you don't stop that clone, you are screwed. Yeah. So have fun, enjoy Evoker. It's definitely the most fun healer in the game. I don't want to play anything else since it came out. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Cheers.